Okay.
Go live. What? Yeah, of course.
Oh.
Of course. I think we're live. Great. What do you want?
All good.
Oh, you're all good.
Yeah.
You just spilled something on my table.
No.
Well, welcome everybody
We're
to this Safing live stream. Very professional here on the 11th of August. Yeah, you can come a little bit closer
We're
as well.
having a new setup here, so we're kind of trying to get used to that.
Exactly. So if you haven't seen us yet, we are in the same room, but moved to the other side. I hope the lighting is better now. And at least I'm enjoying it. We are still tweaking and updating our whole streaming thing. So as this is not what we are focusing our main time on, I hope you bear with us.
Yeah.
And if you have any suggestions for improvements, of course, let us know. Well then, I'm Raphael. This is Daniel. I'm the CEO of Safing. It doesn't say at the bottom anymore, but it hasn't changed, of course. Might add this in the future again. And he's the CTO, main developer of the Portmaster and of course the SPN. And yeah, we are here for a duration of time, answering questions live and stuff you have been sending us via mail over the past 2 weeks, or yeah, just tweeted at us, DM'd me or him, or stuff like that. So looking forward to spending this time with y'all and to answer some of the questions which have come up. But we're gonna start with some service announcements today. Daniel has asked me when we were getting coffee what the topics for today actually are, and I'm like, well, we have been getting a couple of questions in regard to payments in the last couple of weeks, and of course we're gonna tackle them. Very nice suggestions. But we have some news coming up. I think we teased some of it last week and we talked about release channels, but I think we have more concrete stuff now, and I think Daniel has some great insights and topics he'd like to share. And so, please.
Before we start, just a quick recap. Payments. The Portmaster is free. What do people pay for?
Oh, okay. Well, I think people watching this live stream will know, but yes, of course we are doing, and maybe this is a whole nother video. Not sure if we're gonna get into this today, but we are having a discussion currently about Portmaster tiers. The Portmaster is in its core free and will always be free, and of course everything we do is open source. But we think that people misunderstand the SPN as a separate product. Of course, as I said, you watching probably know what the SPN is, but as you're thankfully asking me, yes, the SPN is our paid upgrade. It's a VPN alternative. Right now the website has been updated as well to reflect how we talk about the SPN in general a little bit better. We're calling it like a multi-identity network. And the reason for this is that we are handling each connection individually. So not like any VPN has like you to one other server and from there it goes out. Maybe like with the new tunneling, what they're doing, like with 2 other servers, we're spreading all your connections through multiple hops as well. And the goal is to have easy geo unblocking, like by default and automatically, and to have multiple identities per application. So it's not one other server from which all connections are going out, but it's multiple ones. So
Which means a lot better privacy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
That's
the main goal.
Yeah,
and this is what you're paying for. This was your question.
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt you. But this is what people are paying for. The Portmaster is and will and stays free, stays open source and everything. So this, of course, is not where we're changing.
Yeah.
But
so what you were hinting at is that we are discussing how we can maybe, instead of kind of doing the SPN as a second product, we kind of sell it as an update to the Portmaster. So part of Portmaster, the SPN kind of as an upgrade, that makes it easier to understand how they fit together and what the relationship between Portmaster and SPN is. So that's something we're looking into and evaluating how to improve our communication in that regard.
Yeah.
But
also,
we'll have more updates on that in the coming weeks to months.
And maybe a little bit of a sneak peek for you viewers in here, because we like to give those. There will be a lower price tier as well. So it will probably have less bandwidth. So the goal is to only protect browsing and not downloading or torrenting or stuff like that. YouTube might work, but like Netflix and stuff might be a little bit slow. You will experience buffering, but we understand that $9.90 as the current price is premium. We cannot, like, from our server capacity and everything, of course this costs us money as well. We cannot reduce the price for the unlimited plan, but with reduced bandwidth we're thinking and maybe talking about having a second tier there as well. And this is what I've been talking about as well. So that the concept idea is Portmaster in general, like basic and free for everyone. Then Portmaster everywhere, I think, was your idea. I like it a lot. And then the third one is, of course, Portmaster Unlimited. And the SPN is just an included add-on, which is sort of like available in it. So that we're reducing sort of like this separate names for two things, which are technically one, because the SPN and Portmaster, we're not two teams working on two things. It's one team, it's one thing. Yeah. And we thought a second brand name would be a good idea. Learning our lessons, maybe not.
Yeah, it's hard to understand. And don't the lower priced SPN plan won't beat dial-up speed. You will be able to watch full HD video. That won't be a problem. So that will work great. So can't promise 4K, but full HD we can definitely do. So looking into that. But yeah, more details will follow coming months. We just started the process. We don't know how long it will take to offer it to you, but we'll definitely see to it that we get this out.
Yeah. So this was housekeeping. This was absolutely a tangent from what I actually wanted to talk about.
That was good. That's actually the live stream for.
Again?
I think that's really good.
Yeah, sure.
Live stream. Yeah.
No, I think.
Talk about what's happening.
I know. And I think you haven't read my Reddit post probably, but I already mentioned that we're very busy at the moment, and that the live stream, I want to keep this cadence on so that you people out there can that you know that we are here every 2 weeks. And even if there is no, like 2 weeks ago there was no Reddit post, but the live stream still happened. And this week, of course, there was a Reddit post, but it was only like today. And I think I created the YouTube schedule a little bit earlier. So yeah, we try to do it every 2 weeks. Thursdays, 3 o'clock. This might change though. We don't know. But you will be updated in the regular spots. All is fine. Sweet. So you wanted to tell us stuff about the upcoming Portmaster release.
Sure.
When can we expect the new Portmaster release? You have been teasing that for quite some time now.
So there are only some. Okay, well, it was a big update, and we felt that. We spent, I think, 1 or 2 weeks just collecting and fixing small bugs. That is so much longer than we take usually for that. And we're almost finished with that process, and then there will be the last update will be in the beta release channel for just a couple of days, and then we'll hit stable. So the plan is next week. I like to do it Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll see.
Yeah. We have a no release on Friday policy, just so you know. If there is a release on Fridays,
it was really important.
It was really, really important, and it better not break anything. So
so that's when you can expect it to be released for everyone. For all of you who like to check it out earlier, you can just switch to the beta release channel, which is a release channel we use for testing things earlier. So if you love having things earlier and love reporting things, sending us an email or raising an issue on GitHub, then that's for you. Check it out. We'll have a link how to help us out there in the show notes.
Yeah, true.
So,
and we talked about it last live stream, so you can of course just watch the last live stream, and there already is a link to it.
Great.
I'm like, why do you do this? Make me generate more links, putting more links into the description.
It's good.
Yeah.
I heard it's a thing that we have to do.
Putting more links everywhere.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay,
That's
good.
true.
So 2 things that are in there that we did cover really, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we never talked about it. It's in the next page, as far as I can tell. So the next page has been slow to update in the last couple of months, as well as we were focusing on improving our general communication. Another thing I recognized is that, stuff in the Portmaster needs to update in regards to communication as well. What are the 2 things?
So the first thing that a lot of people have been asking for is custom filter lists. So what does custom mean? Well, we have our own filter list system that is optimized heavily in order to be able to handle big lists very well. So we collect them for you and repackage them into small incremental packages so you can receive hourly updates to filter lists in order to have the best protection possible, so you can stay protected to very up-to-date and current privacy and security threats out there. But a lot of people have been asking to add their custom stuff that's not in there. If you have a list that you want and we don't have it, please ask us to include it, because if it's a good list, we'd like to have it. If it's something special just for your use case, now you can add it yourself. So you can point the Portmaster to a file. There's a setting where you can tell the Portmaster where the file is, and then it will import all the stuff from that file. It's not only domains, you can also import IP addresses, countries, and autonomous systems, which is an internet organizational unit, you could say. And so kind of you could block whole data centers with that if you want to. So you can write your own file, or like import your file, use other tools to combine files, and then feed it to the Portmaster. Portmaster will import that file and will monitor it for changes. So whenever it changes, it will probably periodically check and input it again. So
what is the current periodic check duration? Because I know we talked about it, maybe only checking on restart. So this information is new to me as well, but we're doing this periodically. What is sort of like?
I think it's a couple minutes or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know as well.
It's just a I think it's a time check. It just checks the modification time of the file.
Mm.
So it's not reloading the whole list all the time. It's just checking. Did it change? No. Okay. Nothing to do. So that's really cheap.
Would it just for the people out there, and I think for us to talk about the live stream, I think this is a good idea as well. We are currently having multiple discussions about how to handle open connections. We're currently moving more and more towards the direction of like disconnecting open connections if there are new rules that contradict them. So this is where we're moving. So currently you would have to close the connection either by closing the tab, closing the application or something, and then if you reopen it, it would not open again. But we're currently not breaking an open connection if it has been allowed through the all your settings before it stays open. What is in regards to those filter lists? I think we're currently not breaking the connections. So
right now it will not kill connections that are currently open. That's true. Yeah. And we are working on a feature that will, whenever something changes, it will go through the whole state and check if there's an open connection that would be blocked with the new rules, and it will kill the connection. We're not sure how we'll display it in the UI. Probably we won't. because we can't change history. The connection will still show up as allowed because it was allowed. Data was transferred.
Yeah.
So changing that to the connection was blocked is incorrect because that was not the case.
Yeah. Of course.
So we'll just kill it and the application will retry and the next connection will show up.
But it will of course show as closed. So you will see that it ended.
Yeah, it will show up as ended depending on the protocol sooner or later. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but just to let you know, so we're working on this, we're thinking about this stuff, and this is how we're tackling it. I hope you appreciate it. Last time we have been talking about encryption stuff, and as far as I can tell, Daniel has been getting some feedback on this, and it's a whole can of worms. I don't want to open it again, but in this regard, we wanted to allow you, of course, to understand how we're thinking about this stuff, what our concerns are, and give you the opportunity to sort of pick our brains with this as well, so that you know what's actually like happening and how we approach like user privacy and our development. Very cool, very cool. So custom filter lists. As I want to reiterate at this point, just to get it out there as often as possible, we are not, like, if the license of a filter list that you like to integrate that's like public already is compatible with us, we would integrate it. We are not like curating it in any particular way. If it's compatible, you of course afterwards in the Portmaster you can always go into the filter list and do the dropouts and you see what's included in it, so you can always enable stuff. We're not having any judgment in regards to those filter lists. If you have a good one, we would like to include it. So this mainly is a feature, or it's designed as a feature for short lists that you want to include. So it's not designed for you to get like a whole script running where you pull another filter list.
A couple million domains. That's probably an important note here. How we currently implemented the custom filter list is a kind of very simple way just to get started to see how users use them and stuff like that. So right now what happens is that it just loads the whole thing into memory, which means if you load a couple million domains in your memory, you better have enough. That's it. So
RAM is not too cheap at the moment. So with the whole DDR4 DDR5 switch, DDR5 is very expensive and DDR4 hasn't come down in price yet. So yeah, we keep your filter lists short. And if you have an online one that you'd like us to integrate, or if you have a great one yourself you'd like to share with us, let us know. Get in touch, and we'd like to integrate it.
Yeah. Maybe to compare it to how the normal filter list system works. So how that works is that they're not held at RAM. So what we do is we write them to the database we have, and in order to speed things up, we use a Bloom filter in front of it. A Bloom filter is kind of you could say a very inaccurate filter. It can only tell us if something isn't in a database or if it's maybe in a database. But that lets us filter out a lot of things. It's really fast. So we can reduce the lookups to the database a lot. So the lists both need little RAM and are very fast. But that's a special system also with the incremental updates that it wasn't possible to just plug in the custom filters into there because they have a different way of removing entries again, because the filter list system is incremental, so you get only very small hourly updates, just the kind of the difference between the last intermediary update and the current one, in order to not have you download like dozens of megabytes every hour, because that's not very nice. I know Steam lets you download the new Steam client pretty much every day. I don't know why it does that. That's pretty weird. Maybe it's just me, but
I think it's just you. I haven't updated Steam in a
I
while.
think pretty much every time I open Steam, it's like, oh, update.
No,
Update now.
that only says something about how often you game, I'd say. But
Maybe, but it does happen like daily at times. Really? That's for you? Interesting. Okay, just me. Good. But in order to like save your bandwidth and keep things speedy, there are incremental updates, and that system is incompatible with removing old entries from the system. So you'd remove something from the list, but it would stay in there, and you couldn't remove it anymore. And that's annoying. So we don't want that. So it's a separate system. It has its own thing, and depending on how things go with the custom filter lists, we can of course improve there. But right now the first version is out, and we'll see how the feedback is and how that works for people.
exactly. So give us feedback. As you were saying, it's not in the current beta channel, I think.
It is.
It is?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Sorry,
I haven't.
did not
Okay,
mention that.
okay. So if you want it today, you can of course switch release channels. Last video, maybe a link down here below as well. And in regards to when it comes to like is everyone getting it? As you were saying, probably next week.
Yeah.
We bundled this and the next feature we're talking about into one release with the new network monitor. So it will probably be a little bit shadowed by that, but because that's fancy and it's a big UI change and update. But from a feature perspective, custom photo list has been a constant request now for a couple of for over a year now. So we're finally doing it. just so you know, it's it's not that we don't listen. It's just that we don't have enough time for everything. And now it has been a great time to fit it in and to finally get that going, and we want to improve upon it of course as well. So this is a very, as you said, very technical heavy first step into getting it in there, and then we want of course people's feedback, how they're using it, because of course we don't know how many people are using it, but the people who have been asking for and are going to ask, we will send an FAQ guide. If there is none already, I think he is gonna write one later on. And so how to add it in. And if it's in there, then you of course can give us feedback in has it been working? What have you been expecting and stuff? And that's basically it. The next feature.
Next feature. Next one is another one that has been requested. I don't think as much.
No, not as much. But lately, it sometimes comes up, and I don't know why. But usually, it's 2 to 3 people who are asking for it at the same time. So it's always in bursts. The custom filter list one has been a small trickle. Yeah, maybe
in the internet ecosystem that prompts them to ask.
Yeah, probably.
So the next thing we now have is support for DNS over HTTPS resolvers. We haven't had that for a time. We had support for DNS over TLS from day one, because that is what we chose as the protocol that we think is the best. Why do we think is DNS over TLS a lot better than DNS over HTTPS? Well, they are the same, but DNS over HTTPS just has HTTP in there too. That's the only difference. And what is HTTP good at? Leaking metadata. So why not just keep that part out of it and just omit the metadata we could leak and stop the leaks? For example, Firefox actually did leak metadata in the beginning with their first DOH implementation. They fixed it since, but that just proves the point. If you can, DUT is superior to that because it leaks a lot less metadata about you and about the client you're using and all sorts of stuff. But still, DOH for some reason is just more popular. I think maybe because it can't be blocked as easily or isn't blocked by default in networks because it uses the same port as HTTPS. That makes it easier for that. So I guess that's one of the points. Another point is that some services like the metadata in there because then they can like attach other data they need for their service to the requests. So for example, NextDNS works a lot better with DOH. For that reason.
Okay, I also wanted to say, well, you're like on a technical side, I think portraying it good. But from a user perspective, I think what DOH is easier at is in figuring out the domain or the thing you need to put into the server.
Wait for it.
Okay, I'm waiting for it. Because I just wanted to let you know, like with DOT, I always have to look up what the DNS actually, what I need to put into the DNS field. And of course, with Portmaster, we have like quick settings in there. So this is, of course, making it easier. You don't have to look anything up, but yeah.
Yeah, so you can now take any DOH URL and just put it into the DNS server setting in the Portmaster and it'll work, just as the providers advertise their URLs. But now you can also just paste any DOT URL that providers like Coordinate advertise, just paste that into the setting and it'll work too. So that's pretty nice that we in building support for DOH, we improved support for DOT too. So it's a lot easier to now add that, add your favorite resolver to the Portmaster. One thing to note though is that if you use just the normal URLs for DOH or DOT, that won't include an IP address of that server. So the Portmaster will have to resolve an IP address for that domain name because IP addresses are used for talking with servers. But DNS is responsible for resolving that domain to an IP, so we have a problem, just like every other secure DNS resolver. So what we do is we fall back to the system resolver for resolving the IP address of that domain for the secure DNS resolver, and then it bootstraps itself that way. If you don't like that, you can just add a parameter to the DOH or DOT URL and give it an IP address, and it will work without having to resolve it first.
Is there going to be an FAQ article for that as well?
Sure.
Great.
I think we should add that to the DNS configuration guide.
Yeah, probably. Well, see, this is what live chats do to us. Realizing that some of the stuff we're currently working on needs some more documentation.
Yeah,
and great. Thank you so much. Just out of curiosity, is there a possibility to resolve the DOH address via DOT?
But how would you resolve the address for DOT then?
The DOT has an IP address in there.
Not necessarily.
No, okay.
Well, okay, so I can go into more detail.
I know.
The answer is yes and no.
Okay.
Depends.
Okay. Oh, great.
I will go into detail. So.
No, my suggestion just because I'm right now thinking about this, why don't we do the fallback to, I don't know, like one of the Portmasters, like the last like setting in the Portmaster, because that worked probably, and then have this resolve the address in there, and then of course like save it somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, no, we have to like say like we have to still follow the RFC, so the internet standard. You can just save an IP address for eternity. If you resolve it, then we have to like only use it for that duration it tells us we may use it.
That is true.
If a provider advertises an IP address on their website and says it will stay the same forever, well, then we can use it. But what the Portmaster does is more or less exactly what you suggested, is that it won't strictly fall back to system resolver, but it will use the first resolver that it can find that does not need to be bootstrapped, which means that has an IP address already. So if you have, like, if you use NextDNS without an IP address, and the next entry would be quad 9 with an IP address, it would actually use quad 9 to resolve the next DNS domain, as you suggested.
Okay, cool.
So it just uses the first other provider it finds in the configuration.
In the Portmaster configuration,
so and if
there is nothing in there, then it will fall back to the system DNS.
Because you
and of course
delete it off the server because you don't want it, so we're not going to use it.
Yeah, partly agree there, because of course
it is
the
difficult
system
to manage expectations and like intent. What did the user actually intend by removing something, by adding something?
That is so, of course true. That is of course true. But in that regard, like I don't know about your ISPs, but of course an issue then could be that the address will be resolved with a false IP address in the end, and then you think you're resolving against the next DNS, but actually the system, your ISP, is very sneaky and sees this domain, sees that you want to have DNS or HTTP, and then it just like puts its own IP address in there, and you still. But then the
resolver will fail because it can't start encryption because the ISP doesn't have the encryption keys.
Oh, that is true. Let's see. Well, that's the reason why we're doing this live. Great. And of course, you all know now that I don't know how HTTP like DOH works, but I have you for this.
That's true. It's just DOT with HTTP slapped in the middle.
Yeah.
Or on top, actually.
Yeah. No, but of course, as I said, for a user, it's much easier to have like a domain to put in. But of course, like this, I already knew. Like people don't think that I don't know this. That if you have a domain, this needs to resolve into an IP address at some point. Of course, it has to. And so, well, yeah. Maybe what you can also do is change your default like DNS on your system and then get the thing in there. Yeah, I'm not sure if that would be good either. Okay, well, so I guess our preferred situation, what people should then do is like add the DNS, which they want to actually resolve the DOH with below the DOH. So the Portmaster will use by default the DOH, and as a fallback the other one that you put in.
Well, we still think that DOT is superior.
Yeah,
but for people that want DOH, you can just either do another resolver that has an IP address below, or you can just look up the static IP of that resolver and add it as a parameter to the configuration, and there will be updated documentation and a guide for that.
This is already on your list, or is it
on the list?
Oh, great. So there will be a link in the description.
I guess.
Okay. Yeah, send me the link and I'll put it into the description.
I'll check. Yeah. Okay. Maybe it'll happen tomorrow. No.
Great. No. And so both of those features will be included in the next Portmaster release.
Yeah, that's true.
Very cool. Well then. I think this was the main topics I wanted to bring to our watchers and listeners.
Do you want to go into the questions, or like one of the questions we had?
Yeah. Okay.
Because there was some nice development in the last 2 weeks.
That is true.
So that's something we can share.
Okay. So let's take this journey. Y'all, we're switching gears. We're not talking about the Portmaster anymore. We're talking about the SPN account. or the safing account.safing.io. Oh, and we just got a live question in there. What's missing for SPN to be in beta from a technical perspective?
Do you want to handle it afterwards?
We can.
Yeah.
We can. So we stay with us. We're gonna answer this question afterwards. You can start thinking about that.
I will start thinking about
Great, because this story I think more is mine. So in the accounts page, if you wanted to renew your SPN subscription, or if you have been wanting to start a new one and want to use like crypto and especially Monero, what you have been seeing for the last couple of like last week for a couple of days was that all addresses have been like reserved already, and this is sort of like the bad error message we're giving you if something is not working in the backend. And what actually was not working was Anycoin, and we are very public, I think, about this as well. It tells you that we're getting the exchange rate from Anycoin, and Anycoin has been doing some maintenance with their Monero part, and so we weren't getting any exchange rates, and this was the reason why we couldn't do any Monero payments on our end. We're only taking the exchange rate from them, so it's a pull situation, just so you know, and all the Monero addresses and everything is handled by us, so nothing is sent back to Anycoin. Anycoin does not know if we are doing, like, if we're getting any money or something. It's all done all the time, and we're just pulling frequently the current exchange rate, and that's it. We're not pulling it just before we get a payment. We're not pulling it. We don't stop pulling it if we don't get any payment incoming or something. So it's all the time, and it's yeah, so just so you know, no third party knows about any crypto payments that are coming our ways. So, but of course, not having an exchange rate and us wanting to do the conversion to euros, like just calculate it, even though it's not live, of course. As I said, it's coming into our address, and we're doing the conversion later on. We still require an exchange rate. So this was the issue, and it was not working. And people have been reaching out via mail and being like, well, I'd like to like continue subscribing to the SPN, but I will only pay with Monero. One great suggestion a user had then was to use like pay with Bitcoin and do an exchange in between. But of course this is pricey, so I understand that this is not an option for everyone. We understand the SPN is already a premium like subscription, and then of course with this additional exchange in there, this is making it even more expensive. So we wanted to have a backup, and we're now having a backup. I think this was the situation we wanted to talk about as well. So
that was one of the things, yes.
Okay, so currently we're now having a backup. So if Anycoin fails, if they're doing a maintenance again, we now have a backup. So we hope that stability in that regard is much better.
Yeah.
And what we also have done is, I think, fixed a couple of bugs in the account page as well. I think this was what you wanted to say. And automatic payment approvals are now working for Monero and Bitcoin. So if you're paying with Ethereum, which I'm doing sometimes, not of course for the SPN, but like paying stuff with Ethereum still is a manual process. I don't actually know why. I think it's just a time thing. We haven't had time for doing this as well, yeah. And it has been just as a peek behind the scenes. Ethereum has been used, but it's like by far the less used cryptocurrency. So
we've been getting like Bitcoin and Monero.
Yeah.
That's why we started to implement automatic like transaction processing for them first.
Yeah, of course. So it's the one cryptocurrency everybody knows, and it's the one cryptocurrency we actually believe is private. So, or trust in being private. Even though I can already tell you, I have a whole rant about cryptocurrencies and being currencies somewhere in the future. Not sure if I'm gonna do this on the live
Maybe we
stream
should do a
or not.
technical review first before we start like blasting something out there.
No. It's mainly about how people perceive cryptocurrencies
Okay.
and how they're like. And I think the last crash, just as a sneak peek, the last crash already showed that it's like accepting cryptocurrencies as a business always is a risk, and people are mainly talking about it as investments.
Yeah.
But I have to pay bills in euros, and I have to pay employees in euros, and I honestly asked people if they would accept part of their salary, like deducted from their euro amount in crypto, and nobody said yes till now. So we're not the biggest sample size, of course, but we're a privacy-focused sample size. And still nobody is like, well, yeah, give me those Moneros instead of euros, because of course they have to pay all their bills in euros as well. So that's that. If you have any questions, maybe this is a good part there as well. I'm open to talk about what we're doing in regards to crypto, how this is all working, and our feelings. So maybe this is more of a sneak peek on my feelings, my situation. I can share stuff. If you have questions, please send us emails, ask in the comments below, and we will tackle them in a future live stream or maybe a blog post or something. Probably a live stream though. So as I said, if you have any questions, ask them. Ask it.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about automatic payment processing. I think that's a really cool thing to have, and it works really well. So I think the first Monero charge that would automatically process took, I think, 12 minutes. So that was really nice.
Yeah. We're still missing a couple of things. So even though it's automatic in the back end, we're not telling you as soon as we see the process, incoming payment. Yeah. I know other payment services are doing this, and they're telling you we see the transaction already coming in.
But waiting for confirmations.
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't do that yet.
We don't do that yet. We might be doing this in the future, but like with the customer hub as well, we have a lot of communication catching up to do.
The account system. Yeah.
Sorry, the account system. The account system. We have a lot of communication updates that need to be done and which are more important, so that people are like feeling comfortable with the payment process and everything. So we're working on this before adding stuff like this. We haven't heard yet. Like there was one tweet of somebody who said his payment didn't got accepted. Everything got resolved. So we don't know of any missing crypto payments. We don't know of any missing cash payments. We don't know of any missing whatever payments. So I think everything is fairly thought out and tested and working well. Exactly. You don't have to fear anything in that regard. But just so you know, there is now an automatic process behind it. I think it's not labeled like this on the account page yet. I think it still says it's manual.
Didn't label manual before.
Oh yeah, it said manual. Yeah, and it said it can take up to 24 hours or about 24 hours to be processed. Because I was doing everything. I have to look at the payment. I have to look at into the wallet. I have to check if it's there and stuff. So we updated this process now, and it should be faster. But of course, the process is now faster. So the fallback, of course, always is manual. So. Yeah. You want to answer the question?
Yeah, sure. Let's go for the question. So, the question was, what's missing for the SPN to be in beta from a techno perspective? I think we're almost there. I think that's correct. From a technical perspective. So we are in the process of fixing one bug we've been struggling for some time. So sometimes you may or may not have experienced this. So if you're doing a big download, the SPN might just disconnect because it's health check, like it pings the first server, and if that doesn't go through, it thinks something's broken and disconnects and reconnects again. Because there was an issue with handling multiple data flows at the same time. We are in the process of fixing that. We've deployed a new version of the server software last week, and so I think everything should be done on the new version, and then we can start testing a new feature, and that will very likely solve that problem because it had already created new ones. So every time a solution creates new problems, it probably solves others. That's like just how things go in programming. So that's a important thing we're working on, and there are a couple other small fixes and improvements we're working on. And I think when we've like completed that, and that will only take a couple more weeks.
Yeah.
Then the SPN is really in a good state.
Yeah.
And very much looking forward to that.
From a very technical perspective, I know I've been spraying around like in different comments when I was responding via the safing throughout the safing channels that there is a UI already like sketched out.
Yes.
But it's like after the network monitor release, there will be like the side panel. I think we teased this already. The side panel is of course the next big thing that we're tackling, because it's now being like used differently than what we initially imagined. But we felt like this is a good direction that we're going, so we're doubling down on that and improving the side dash completely. And after this, and so this is not even currently being developed, but already sketched out. So after the side panel update, this will be the next thing that we're tackling, and a new UI for the SPN part. Even though technically, like, we're all the time working on it and improving it, as Daniel was saying, from a UI perspective, an update is a little bit further out. So of course it's, I think, not as sexy to drop the alpha label and move into beta without an UI update. From a stability perspective, and this is how I partly understood that question in the live stream here as well, it's from a technical perspective, moving into beta in, as you said, a couple of weeks. And so the server update is already out there. Our servers have to, of course, all update as well. To prepare for this, this is already running and live. Backwards compatible, of course, with the current client system, and we're testing it and updating client system in a couple of weeks. Yeah. Always glad to share. So Clemens, thanks for the question. And as always, if you have other questions, shoot them at us, either via mail, of course, also between live streams. As I said in the beginning, we're trying to do them every other week. So in 2 weeks, we will be here again with some questions that I collected throughout the weeks, and with some questions that are live. And if you want to watch them later on, of course, they're all online. I try to improve the quality of the video. I think the last one was a little bit choppy. I hope this one is less so. And in regards to audio quality, we're looking forward to this, to improving this as well. I think the video already is better. I don't know why though. Yeah, we'll see.
I think when we have like our 10th live stream or so, we should like celebrate with a new fancy bar at the bottom, like, and do some visuals.
We had that in the past already.
A fancy bar.
A fancy one.
Probably.
Okay, no, we're not. We're not gonna invest resources into this. We have an SPN UI to build. So I think you did a great job last time in tying everything up. So please tie stuff up.
Wait, what did I do? I don't remember anymore. But
okay, you were saying about like how you can support us.
Oh yeah, right.
So just to mention that, of course, you can always help, like, subscribe to the SPN. All we do is supported by the SPN.
Yeah.
So as we were hinting earlier, we're gonna call them probably different in the future, just to make clear that all Portmaster development is being supported by the SPN. People have been asking about donating to the Portmaster. There now is a sponsor page on GitHub, and we say clearly in there the SPN is the main way to support us, but of course you can donate to the Portmaster directly. But yeah, just this is the main thing. other than that, give the Portmaster a try.
Try it out, tell your friends, switch
Exactly.
the data, report issues.
Exactly. Yeah. We're trying to make it very easy to report bugs from within the Portmaster as well. I had to recently send somebody a link because he was writing to hello@safethink with a support request and tell him, well, there's this question mark in the Portmaster. If you go in there, you can send a ticket from within the Portmaster. Use this. It's very easy to do. Maybe I put a link for how to send requests like this in the doobly-doo as well. And from my side, that's it. I wanted to say stuff like this. You have anything else?
To sad a little bit. Now I can properly make the reference. Engage.
Okay. Teasing my background here. Well then, have a good one.
Okay, good. Have a good one. See you later.
See you around. Bye.
Is that... No, wait a second. This needs to